Welcome to day 2 of 7 days of self-acceptance. Thank you for joining me. So yesterday we talked a little bit about the inner voice, the inner critic, and, bringing a little bit of compassion to that. Today, I'm actually going to invite you to notice how you're taking on board other people's projections, or what you're projecting out into the world, or how you're taking on that the fear of rejection and that shame of rejection, and making that your own. So a lot of the time, self-acceptance is a process whereby we allow ourselves to be our true imperfect selves, imperfect because you're wonderful as you are. And when we can fully deepen into acceptance of the self, we stop projecting these fears of rejection and rejection stories into our experience of the outside world. So what do I mean by this? Well, coming back to a practical context, what are the ways in which you stop yourself from being seen or from sharing yourself in the world? And what comes up when you consider, when you think about maybe stepping up into your power, or, it might be, all of us are going to have different experience of this, but the kind of situations that might trigger you or that might cause you to notice you holding yourself back, I invite you to just contemplate that for a moment. And we're going to go back to reflecting on the inner voice. In those moments, what's happening for you? What's coming up? What's the voice saying? And that voice that's coming up, oh, I couldn't possibly say that. Maybe they'll think this, or I wouldn't want to upset somebody, or I wouldn't want to offend somebody. And I invite you to just bring that back and see how perhaps you're holding yourself back in that. And what would it take for you to alleviate that fear of disapproval, that fear of rejection in being yourself? And what aspect of yourself is afraid of that? What is the meaning? What is the story that you would be creating? What is the story that you're writing about this scenario that is in fact causing you to stay small? And if we rewrite that and we shift the table so that you in fact are the authority, you in fact are the one who's mirroring yourself, looking in that mirror and saying, if I were to say this to myself, how am I turning around and judging? And what part of me is afraid of that judgment? And so start to have that internal conversation, because we're only afraid of rejection from the outside world in so much as we have failed to accept ourselves in that capacity. So when we deepen our connection with ourselves, and we can create that resolve around really being firm and clear in who we are, and the safety in who we are. And I'll talk about the nervous system in the next couple of days, because this is a big nervous system piece. If we don't feel safe, we can't possibly move through this. But again, today we're looking at the awareness of what the process is, of what the underlying process is. And so when you're in fear of other people's rejection, what is it that you're rejecting in yourself? What is it that you don't yet feel willing to be seen and heard in? And as we did yesterday, where can you bring some love, some compassion, and non-judgmental curiosity to the process that plays out in these situations? So when you hold yourself back and make yourself small, that's an act of self-rejection. So we want to shift that into, how can we accept ourselves in those moments? What would I need to be okay if somebody else did disapprove? Because I accept myself, and that's the strongest place to be. So my loves, I hope today has served. Please do reach out if you have any questions. And, you know, this is just a fun little week together. And I know we're talking about a really profound topic, but we've just got a series of short videos. We're just creating some awareness and creating some connection. And you know, I invite you to take these concepts and really run with them. Or, of course, reach out if you have any questions. So beautiful. I will see you tomorrow for day 3 of 7 days of self-acceptance. Much love.